Hi, so this week we're looking at the pen tool, and I know a lot of times the pen tool can give new users to it some issues, so I wanted to do a little video as to how I would use the pen tool. Now the pen tool is universal. It's in almost any software program that you can think of, including Photoshop, any 3D software, After Effects, etc. Most commonly, though, you're going to be using it in Illustrator. So you can hit P for the pen tool or just click on it. You're going to click and let go, and that sets up your first anchor point. So as you see, if I drag around, I can click and let go, and I'm creating anchor points. And between these anchor points, there are straight lines. Now if I click and drag, I can start to make a curve. And however I choose to drag in whichever direction is going to change the way that my curve is going. And then I can let go. Now these are called your handles, and your handles are what determine where your curve is going to go. Now because I had such a strong curve on my last one, you can see that this one has a curve to it, and we'll go in a little bit deeper into that. But to finish, you're just going to click where you started. Your pen tool will turn into a little circle underneath, and then you can click, and now you have a closed shape. Alright, so if I grab my pen tool again, how would I make an M? So for example, if I click and let go, move over and click and drag to create the first hump, how would I do the second one? Because if I click and let go, you can see my anchor is set right here, but because my handle is so far down, my next point already has a curve to it. So what we do is when you're clicking and dragging to create that point, you're going to hold Alt or Option on your keyboard, and that breaks your handle. So then you can bring the handle close to the anchor point and in the direction that you want to move in. So by doing that, I can create my M. Okay? So once you have your pen tool and your shape made, there are some options under here that you can add to. So let's just say I'm creating an abstract piece here. I can go into my pen tool and I can add an anchor point. You just need to click along the line to add it. I can remove an anchor point. You'll just want to make sure you're actually over an anchor point, and luckily Illustrator will say anchor. And then you can delete them. Or we have your anchor point tool. So with this, you can see how I have curves here. If I click on my anchor point and let go, it becomes a right angle. If I click on the anchor point and drag, I get new handles. You can also click on a handle and adjust that one on its own. Okay, so what I would recommend that you do when you're getting used to using the pen tool is just place a simple clip art. I found a carrot here. And just try to follow the shape with the pen tool. So wherever you want to start is fine. You can click and let go, and click and drag to try to get the curve just how you want it. And then you can hold Alt if you want to bring the anchor point back, and then move forward. Now a couple tips. I've seen people try to do little tiny movements with the pen tool. That does not work well, nor is that actually using the tool to the best of its ability. You're going to get a really jagged line, and it's going to take you a lot longer than if you just did a click and a drag to get your one curve. Another thing that I see is people confuse the anchor points with the handles and anchor point to anchor point. So for example, once I click and that one's there, I don't have to worry about that one anymore. I can just move on and keep going with my shape. I can hold Alt to break, but I don't need to click on the handles or anything as I go. Now, let's just say I finished here. I can always go in with that anchor point tool and try to adjust my handles a little bit. You can also grab your direct select tool and it does the same thing. So you can click on an anchor point and let go, click and drag it to move it. You can drag the handles to adjust. Okay, so try with something a little bit more simplified and then you can move on to creating whatever shapes you want. Hope this helps.